Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Artist Webinar, brought to you by the National Arts Festival. My name is Nobesuthu Khai, and I will be your facilitator for the day. Just a few rules before we start, just a few housekeeping rules before we start. Please note that you are not visible and your microphone is mute. We are recording this webinar and it is being broadcast to Facebook as we speak. If you would like to ask a question, please type it into the Q&A section at the bottom of your page view. We will be answering questions after the presentation, but you can send questions during this presentation. If the question is answered, please note that we will not answer the same question twice. So please do pay attention. And please note we are live and a few of us are relying on residential bandwidth. So we do apologize in advance if we have connectivity issues. And this webinar, again, is being recorded and will be made live after this session. I think it's about time for me to introduce our panelists for the day. And just before I do that, I want to apologize profusely for one of our panelists not being able to be here today due to unforeseen circumstances. And that is Z Monahang, who is our Fringe manager. So we apologize for that. However, we do have our two panelists who are here today, and that is Monica Newton, who is our CEO. Monica, welcome.
Good afternoon. Hi.
Good afternoon. And then we have our technical director, Nikki Spalding. Nikki?
Hello,
Sisi.
Hello, Sisi.
Hello. Welcome, Nikki. Welcome, Monica. It's so nice today that I am asking all the questions. So I've got my artist cap today. So brace yourselves, ladies. Monica, I'm going to start with you as the CEO of the National Arts Festival. I've got this one burning question, which is the first one for you, and it is, why has the festival changed the way it is asking artists if they want to participate in the Fringe? Because I think you will agree with me that things have changed slightly. What is the reason for that?
Thank you so much, Nobesuthu, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be chatting to you this afternoon. So 2021 is another year where the festival is, in essence, reinventing itself to respond to context. There is so much uncertainty still about the next couple of months. So we are currently in an enhanced lockdown level 3, which allows us to do live events to a limited extent, 50 max indoors, 100 max outdoors. And of course, we are in an evolving context. So one of the things that we've been thinking a lot about is our commitment to do the festival. Obviously, we are here and we are ready and we are planning the most extraordinary live, online and hybrid festival in response to the context that we're living in, but these are uncertain times. So we thought, let's start by asking a couple of questions from the artistic community so that we build the festival around artists and not necessarily create a festival and then ask artists to come and participate with us. And we've done very much the same with the curated program, because we found last year when we did the NAF2020, the conversations that we had with the artistic community around what was possible were actually incredibly empowering for both the festival and artists. And we're wanting to do the same with the independent arts community, the Fringe community. The Fringe is such an important part of our festival, but I think there's no question, Nobesuthu, that the festival, once again, is going to look very different, because we are different. We are living in a pandemic, and there's the hope of a vaccination, and there's a lot of change that we'll be going through this year still, and our festival must respond to that.
Thanks, Monica, for that. You are correct. We are really living in difficult and trying times. And I think the festival, without sounding biased, but I think the festival has really bent forwards and backwards to make sure that we continue having this festival, because really beyond the festival itself, we're looking at the livelihood of our artists holistically. So, Monica, this year you have asked artists on the Fringe to submit an expression of interest. Now, previously, we would be asking artists to submit a registration or a registration form. So expression of interest, registration form, which one is it? What is it? Can you explain that to us?
So the expression of interest is a simplified way that we created to start the conversation, whereas a registration form is much more a structured way of booking a venue and booking dates and communicating a lot more about what independent artists are wanting to do on the Fringe. So the expression of interest is a lot more exploratory. It asks a lot more questions, and it starts a conversation between the festival and artists in the way that perhaps the registration form doesn't. Probably the most important thing to recognize at this point is that the expression of interest does not make a financial commitment on the part of the artist. So in essence, it's a way of starting a conversation without necessarily having to put cold hard cash down on a particular day and to make a particular commitment, because equally as the festival is facing uncertain times, so is the artistic community. So it's a registration of an idea, of an interest in presenting work at the festival. It's not a hard and firm commitment. And we thought that was the right way to start doing things in such uncertain times.
Certainly, Monica, that really sounds like a fair way of playing this game, because honestly, as you were saying, that artists don't have not had income since March last year. And for the festival to say, let's hear your idea first before we even think of charging you. So I think it's really quite a noble thing for the festival to do in assisting artists. And there has been a conversation in the arts industry, Monica, I'm sure you will remember this from back then, where people were speaking to say, when it comes to arts, it would be so nice, even if it's funding bodies or our government, but it would be nice if we could first table our ideas, and then later on, we speak about the administrative stuff, which is the copy of your ID, your tax clearance, but the idea first. Which, without saying much, I think the festival is moving towards that direction. These are things that were spoken about 15 or 20 years ago. And the festival seems to be moving towards that direction, because we are saying idea first, and then we'll look at the other factors later, which then brings me to the issue of this expression of interest. Nikki, in this expression of interest form, there are questions that you ask us as the festival. Please take us through those questions. What do you want from us? I have an idea, but what else do you want from us? Let's hear from you.
Thanks, Nubs. Sorry, I lost my cursor there. I'm going to share my screen quickly, and that will bring up the form. That should be popping up now. And this is what the form looks like. There's a link to this from the National Arts Festival homepage, which is right here. So you click on that and it'll take you straight to here. So this just gives you some of the background that Monica's just spoken through. And this is just sort of assuring you that what we want is, we want artists who are wanting to present work on the festival in the same model of the standard Fringe model. So the first section of the form asks you for personal details, which is fairly straightforward. This is to make sure that we know who we're dealing with, where we're dealing with them from, and what areas we're looking at, so that we know that we're covering the demographic that we want to cover. And if we're missing out on something, then we can cover ourselves, well, we can cover as much ground as we can. A short bio, you can upload a bio, or you can give us a website link, anything that will give us some information about who you are as an artist and what sectors you're working in. Again, here the section on the details of the work. A working title here is fine, just so that we have something that we can, this doesn't have to be a final title. This is a title that can change. And also going, you know, now that we're all working across genre and across disciplines, quite a few of these might be applicable to the work that you're thinking about that never may have been before. So there's as many as you need to apply to. Add them in. If we haven't covered something, put it in there. We are really wanting to welcome work in other languages as well, given that our reach on the internet is much wider. So that also is a consideration that we're going, really putting work out there in more than just 1 or 2 languages is a big part of where we're wanting to shift our focus to. Duration and age restriction, and then a description of it. So this description is a fairly sort of short summary of what you're wanting to do, whether it's a series of play readings or a puppet show that is presented in a interview format, whether it's a dance piece that is filmed, or whether it's a series of stories that are told by a collective of artists. So there as well, you can upload this is not the place to upload a script. This is the place to just go, this is what I'm thinking about. And this describes the work as you would of going, what is your idea, Nobasutu? Yes, you can have 7 dancing elephants on balloons as a webinar series on training elephants. Yes. So that is more than possible there. This is where it gets slightly more tricky. This is where we're trying to find out who has the resources and the ability to present a live production. We know that a lot of artists and a lot of practitioners have had to shift what they're doing in their day jobs, and you're taking time out to do a rehearsal period and then present an in-person performance may not be altogether possible. It may be that there has to be a hybrid, or it has to be a completely recorded performance, which is the second option. Obviously, we're looking at who has the facility to do a live presentation and who is looking more at creating digital work, or an installation that can be photographed or filmed. If it's a installation, obviously there can be works if it's an exhibition piece, or if it's a performance art piece as well. Those are the kinds of details that we need there. So the next section, we're trying not to be too specific here, which is why it's quite a general question. So what we're looking to do in the 4 or 5 models that we're looking at and trying to plan for, we're going, if you were to be able to come to Makanda, do you have the resources to be able to come to Makanda to present a work in Makanda in a temporary venue to an audience that may be 50 people over a 10-day period? Is that something that you as an artist could support, especially in a fringe context? If not, if we were to identify a suitable venue in your region, would you be able to mount an in-person performance? How we deal with that and how we make that happen is what we're planning now. So the next question is a follow-on from that, to say, if we were to present you in a regional venue that's closer to where you live and work, if we were to stream that live onto a platform, would you be open to doing that? And is the work that you're thinking about doing suitable for that kind of thing? So there are some works that are entirely suitable for that. There's other works that just aren't. So again, it's just going, what are you thinking? What are you playing with? Where is your experiment sitting? And how do you think that that might be possible? And again, the next one is going, if we were to, as we did in 2020, make filming facilities available in a number of centers, is that a resource that would be useful to you in order for you to be able to make a work possible? So if you have a script that you're working on, if you have a dance piece that actually, if you could rehearse it and then get a filming slot, and get it up on the V Fringe platform and sell tickets, is that something that is going to help you make ends meet, basically? And that is it. So that's once you hit submit, then all of us are looking, the whole team. I'm going to stop that share because you don't need to see that anymore. Once you have submitted that, we can then get a much more informed picture of what everybody is doing around the country, and how we can deploy resources to artists that they can use, rather than being quite prescriptive on how we feel that you should react to the upside down nature of everything. So that's the crux of the form. There's one way of doing things as well, which is a hybrid of live and recorded, which is realistically possibly where we might be, that some things are live, some things are recorded, and that we find a synergy between the two, and we find a way of accommodating both. How we're going to do that is going to be exciting to find out. As with everything, we are learning at the speed of light. In order for us to be able to do this, we need to get as much information in as soon as possible as we can. So knowing that it's February now, we would normally be well into planning phases, but we can't because COVID has stolen everything. And so the form is due in at the end of April. But the sooner we can get stuff in, the sooner we can start making plans. And the more information we've got, the better plans we can make. So the idea is to get as much information in so we can go, oh, okay, if we did this, this, and this, and this, will that service everybody? And that may spark other people's ideas. And hopefully we'll be able to set something up without the sort of very short timelines that we've been operating in over the last couple of months, and especially now in this month, where the creative process is sometimes stifled by that need to get everything done in a hurry. So again, if you've got something that is just the formulation of an idea, submit it. Because we are going to go, this is very interesting, and this is a thing. And then if you turn around and go, actually, no, I would like to do it this way rather, then we'll see what we can do about that. Because that's what we hopefully try and do with everything. So that's the long and the short of it, Nobs.
Thank you so much, Nikki. It looks like a fairly simple form. It's a one-pager, and you've got an idea, write it down. And Nikki did say, don't wait until the due date, submit your form now. And what I like about this approach when it comes to the festival that you guys have taken now, look at me taking myself out of the festival, but I'm sure all of you can see right through me. But I like the approach that the festival has taken in terms of, it's almost as if, give us your idea and let us work around your idea to create an ideal festival for you. Rather than, here are venues. Here are 50 venues, and later on submit your work, which I like this approach. I'm not sure if it's going to be a custom-made approach for 2021 and what things are going to look like in 2022. But who knows? We are planning as we go. Monica, with that said, we're talking venues, we're talking form, we're talking ideas. When is this festival going to happen in 2021? When?
That's the $1,000,000 question, Novasutu, the $1,000,000 question. So we are committed to July. And there've been some questions that have been asked about, can we push it to later in the year? There are a couple of problems with that. One is clutter. There are a lot of events that have been pushed out of their normal timeframes into later in the year. But also the rhythm and nature of our festival is that we exist in the tiny sweet spot of a gap in the university school and private school calendars. And this year, obviously, there's been a lot of disruptions. And already we've seen there was a public school calendar gazetted, and now it's been changed again in the context of everything being pushed back by another 2 weeks. So we're almost back to the drawing board again. But we are working, we're negotiating, we're thinking, as Nikki had said, we're planning. And of course, we're also figuring out what is the most efficient way for us to deliver a different festival to smaller audiences. I must admit, I imagine the Guy Butler with absolute horror. 50 people in that theater would make it feel like the least successful production in the history of productions. But we're all coping with new and difficult circumstances. So fundamentally, we're pegging ourselves to July. Watch this space. As soon as we have a clearer sense of dates, we will definitely let you know. There is no question that by March, we are going to have to nail our tent peg into the ground and work around those dates. But there's definitely a hybrid festival. It's definitely online. It's definitely live as best as we can do. And it's definitely in July. Bank on that. But the exact dates, watch this space.
Watch the space. Monica, I'm not sure if you are a Sangoma or what. You are throwing me off here a bit because you have now responded to a question that has just come in. And it is a participant that wanted to know, would it not be possible to move this festival into September? And that is when probably the virus would have died down and we would have been vaccinated. So you've answered that already before I could even answer it. So CEO Sangoma, I don't know, but thank you, Monica, for that. We do have a question from Graham Roderick, but before I ask the question of Graham, I want to say he does say kudos for the festival that National Arts Festival has put together in 2020. He says it was really admirable in such short notice. But what he wants to know about 2021 is what will be different this year to resolve technical issues experienced last year by both artists and audiences. What I'm not sure about this question is whether is it technical issues in terms of uploading work, in terms of us viewing work, or is it in terms of ticketing? But I think Nikki, you can sum up all those elements on your side. Over to you.
Sure. Look, we built a brand new platform in 100 days last year, and as we opened up the festival with an immense amount of rush, everybody came, and we hit on the first 3 days of festival. We did hit a few big bumps that not even Amazon or S3 had seen, and we were learning as we were going. Which now are resolved. So where people were having issues with player compatibilities and we were having version control issues, that we have been spending the last couple of months and we've been working on really addressing that. We know that there were some issues with payment gateways and things, but they were very quickly resolved. We also had one section over one of the days, which was possibly the worst day of the year last year, where the website did fall over in a heap and cribble in a corner until we could resuscitate it. And we went down for about 8 hours, which in a 10-day festival is about 6.5 years. And so those kinds of things, we learned a lot of very hard lessons very quickly. What I can say is that the team that is working on the website and the team that is managing content and managing submissions has come an awful long way in that time. We've also sort of learned a lot about digital capacity, and we are able to give artists a lot better advice as to how they submit work, because that gave us a few issues. So all in all, it's going second time around. We're not going to be, it's not going to be smooth. I know it never is. This festival will bite you no matter how big your gloves are. But definitely we're not going to make the same mistakes again. We'll have new and interesting problems, I'm sure.
Thanks, Nikki. So it looks like, Graham, all the experience in hitting the ground running in 2020 will assist us in having a smoother 2021, but we cannot promise that we are not going to have any issues, because this festival would not be National Arts Festival if it didn't have slight issues. So, but we have learned last year, and we're definitely going to improve. But again, I want to focus on the positive things. Thank you for the kudos. We've received a lot of those from artists, from arts organizations, and thank you for working with us last year. And we hope you are going to work with us again. To the arts fraternity, you've really been such a great support for the National Arts Festival, and that is the reason why we are having this conversation, because really, yes, it's a webinar, but it's more of a conversation to want to know, what are you thinking? Because we are thinking something. We've got a couple of ideas on the table, but what do you think? So it's good when we are getting feedback from you, and please don't forget to write your questions on the Q&A section on your page view below. We've got a question. Monica, I think this is a follow-up question on the dates issue. And I had anticipated, I think I'm also a Stangomite, I anticipated that we are going to be getting a lot of questions around dates. So Dustin wants to know, even if it stays in July, would the live event not perpetuate further concerns around a surge in COVID-19 in the Eastern Cape, especially since winter is notorious for flu season?
Justin, it's a really, really valid concern, because at the end of the day, we have seen some very, very dramatic super spreader kind of events, and we are all learning in the events industry how to do better, how to be better. Obviously, if I protect myself, I equally protect you. So a lot of it is about the prep work that we do. We have to be SASRIA compliant, which is, of course, the legislation that guides how major events happen. The COVID compliance elements of that are exceptionally strict, and we're working on that application right now. So it remains a risk. There is absolutely no question, but the team is committed to working our way through that, being as protective as we can. We had a very successful, for example, end of year dance school showcase at the Monument in the Guy Butler, where we did the whole social distancing, cleaning between performances, basically dipping the children in sanitizer as they came in through the building. And it was complicated and it was difficult, but the experience of live, I was sitting in the back of the theater with a tissue. It was really quite moving. So I think that we're going to take some risks, there's no question, but we are a team who's lived through and did a festival. We started planning in lockdown level 5, and we eventually delivered the festival in lockdown level 3. And that just gives you a sense of the experience of this team in handling and managing the pandemic. So thank you for that question. It is a continual concern for us, and we are going to be exceptionally vigilant in that regard, but it remains a risk and will remain a risk until such time as we reach population immunity in many respects.
Thanks, Monica. National Arts Festival will do whatever it can to make sure that our patrons are safe. We will really try our level best, Justin, and be within COVID-19 regulations, of our country and worldwide. So we have the kudos again. Someone, Mandisi, is saying it's great to try new things, and that helps to see what's working or not. We're all trying our best to work around the pandemic. Big up to you guys for the options you have given artists. So thank you, Mandisi, for that. And then he has a follow-up question where he asked, is it ideal for artists to submit the works that were already presented at the festival in 2020? And I'm not sure if Nick, you want to have a stab at it, but I could, because I also have 1 foot in to NAF and 1 foot out as artist. So I could try to have a stab at this. Remember, today we are talking about V-Fringe. So V-Fringe is really a platform where artists get to showcase their work and they get to make money out of their work. They are the ambassadors of their own work. Therefore, if you did put something together at our virtual National Arts Festival in 2020, and you are determined to make sure that maybe last year you didn't make enough money, and this year you want to make money because you're going to market it, you're going to really get the word out there, I don't think there's anything wrong with that when you submit, because it sounds like we are talking about ready work, and I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone who wants to submit work that they would have presented in our 2020 festival. However, if you were on the main festival last year, which means you would have been commissioned at the National Arts Festival to put together your work, I would just say you just need to refer back to your contract, and you need to speak to the festival and see how we can play this balancing act of a production that would have been on the main in 2020, and then this year it comes back to be on the fringe. So that's what I would suggest with artists that were on the main last year. However, if you did a show on fringe last year and you want to submit it again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Probably this year you've got a better strategy. Now that we are familiar with the virtual world, you've got a better strategy of getting your work out there. Any comment from your side, Nikki, Monica, on this issue?
Sure. I do have something to add there, Nobs. I just want to remind artists that work that they've submitted to the V-Fringe is still up and still active. The V-Fringe is still there and it's still ticking over. We've actually had a little rush of new artists submitting more work. And so if you did submit work to the V-Fringe in 2020, you can still market that. You can still sell tickets for it. You can still earn off that. You can still sign up if you have work that is ready to go now. You can still sign up or register for the V-Fringe, get your work up there and start selling tickets. The V-Fringe platform is there to be used by artists year round, and the financial model is as even as we can make it, and we do take a 10% commission on sales, which covers all transaction fees. There's no other hidden surprises of anything, any nature. And it is an effective platform that is being used by other people around the country. So do use it, because it is there. Because it's getting quite big, we are going to be making a new release on the site in March, just to give it a little bit more structure, because it took us a little bit by surprise that it was as popular as it is. So there'll be an update to the site, all things going well, by the end of March. But you can share the link to your page. You can hit the search box at the top of the V-Fringe page or the festival page, and find your link to your show directly there. And if you've got any questions, you can write to Fringe at nationalartsfestival.coza, and we'll be able to answer your questions.
Thank you, Nikki. I don't know if Monica, you want to weigh in on that, or you feel Nikki and I, as comrades, we have covered. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Our work as artists, the Fringe, our work is up there. Let's not stop. Let's not stop marketing our work. I think the 90%, 10% is really attractive, and we should really, take that opportunity with both hands and run with it, because I'm not sure if there's any platform that offers that kind of deal at this point in time. So please, artists, please be part of the V Fringe and market your work. Get your friends, your family, the artist community at large to consume your work. We have a question from Kay. She wants to know, is there going to be the possibility of doing both, which means performing live in Makanda or elsewhere? And also, she wants to know the issue of broadcasting. Would it be possible for one to broadcast their work live? Nikki?
Yeah, so that's the question that sort of, it does get confusing in the terminology that we're using. So yes, it is going to be possible, Kay, to be in two places at once. So if you have a recorded work and you want to put that up on the video on demand performance platform, then that is what V-Fringe is there for. It's a performance, it's a video on demand service. You put up a pre-recorded piece and people pay to view it. It's as simple as that. With a hybrid model where we've got live elements going with a pre-recorded, or as you say, Kay, broadcast, that is going to take a little bit more management, which is something that we weren't ready for in 2020. We did it on sort of for 3 productions where we could be very much in control of the situation. Now that we have better technology at our disposal and a little bit more knowledge, we do want to open that up. And so, yes, I think that doing a hybrid performance that encompasses live and pre-recorded elements is possible. I still, from a technical perspective, dealing with internet lag is not a problem that has been solved yet. So doing a collaborative performance where various people are in different spaces and coming together online is possible, but internet lag is a reality, and obviously is more pronounced the further away, or depending on how you are accessing the internet and what cluster you're in worldwide. So that is why, sort of the mechanics of staging such events are quite complex and generally cheat, for want of a better word. So sometimes that live element is slightly constructed, and sometimes it's just a lie. And so again, knowing what artists are wanting to do will give us a better idea of what we need to make possible. So yes, Kay, your craziest ideas are welcome.
Thanks, Nikki. We are now 20 to 3, and we have a couple of more minutes left for us to continue. We do have someone who misses us dearly. I'm not sure if she misses the stuff or she misses the vibe. I think it's the vibe of National Arts Festival. Mamela Nyanza says, hello, everyone. Thank you for the heads up in preparing for this year. Truly speaking, we miss performing live, either in Makanda or where we are based, so that we do not overcrowd the city. Either way, we miss that energy. And right back at you, Mamela, we miss the energy as well. I must say 2020 was a little bit strange. Beginning of festival, I was sitting in front of the computer and I was telling my family that festival has just started, and they were like, okay. It was very strange. So we also missed the energy, we missed the vibe, we we missed the festival, but we will do anything that we can to make sure that we continue having the festival, but in a safe environment, because we don't want our festival to be that festival which cost people a lot of lives at the very same time. So with that said, Nikki, now that I've got this idea and I filled in the expression of interest, because I understand that I'm saying I'm in TE and you are going to find a venue for me to record. I'm sure that cannot be free. Are there any estimate costs that you can give us at this point in time? Or is it a matter of don't call us, we'll call you, we'll come back to you regarding this issue? Because you did say that you are constructing the festival around the ideas that you are receiving. So it could be that you don't have those estimated costs at this point in time, because not all those ideas have come through as yet. Currently, we are sitting on 43 applications of VFringe, and we are only closing on the 30th of April. So I'm not sure how you are going to be able to do this estimated cost, Nikki, but I'm just asking the question because I like seeing you struggle.
Thanks, Nav. I know that you do. So yeah, it isn't a straightforward question to answer. We are definitely not charging a registration fee for work that is presented solely online. That is not going to happen. And we're not charging a registration fee to present on the festival. Where we would be looking at if we were to be looking for a contribution from artists to support costs, it would be in a subsidized venue rental for the filming venues. And that is going to be based on an economy of scale. The more artists that we can fit into a particular area or a particular filming location, the cheaper it's going to get, because the harder we can make things work, the more, the more efficient we can be with time, the cheaper it's going to get. Once we know what we're looking at and what the size and shape of it is, then we'll be able to look towards what, if we were to be charging for filming venues, what that charge would be. But definitely the conversations that we're having at the moment is trying to keep it in line with the venue rental fees that artists would pay at a physical festival. So again, those rates are highly subsidized, and it wouldn't be the full whack of a cost, and definitely not at commercial rates.
Nikki, we love hearing that it will be subsidized and it will not be at commercial rates, because honestly, sometimes we have these dreams to perform in these spaces, but we cannot afford to. And therefore, when the National Arts Festival is being bold to say, actually, this might be your opportunity this year to be part of or to perform in this institution or to record your work, but at a subsidized cost, especially during this time of this pandemic. So thank you to National Arts Festival for that. And thank you for thinking about that. So those who wanted to know if there's going to be technical support, that is what we are working on. We are working on us receiving your ideas so that from your ideas, we can see how many locations do we need to film, how many can we host in Makanda, and so forth and so on. And the spread, we are going to try and make it as wide as possible, budget permitting. With that, we must always, because subsidizing and budgets, they are same WhatsApp group. We are subsidizing, but again, our budgets, they need to tally with that dream. So we have really people who are showing a lot of love for the festival today on our webinar. And again, I keep on saying we are nothing without you. Thank you so much. We have a comment from Ryan. He says, thanks for leading us in this digital way. Nelson Mandela University can partner with venues for use across the city where we have a footprint. So if I were to dance, I'm not sure if I'll still have my job, but it feels like I want to do a halala because this is what we want. Really partners coming to us and saying, come work with us. We appreciate that, Ryan. And please brace yourself because Uniki is going to take you up on that. So thank you to Nelson Mandela University. Thank you for opening your doors to us. And then we have another question. So that was a statement and that was an offer, not a question. And then we have Rob who says, is there a form for applying as a regional venue of hybrid live and streaming performances? Or should you just have a conversation via email? So a decentralized hosting venue. So as a decentralized hosting venue, Nikki, I think that is to you.
I would say absolutely. No, there is not a form, but if you do have a venue or if you know of a venue, please do get in touch. And that is the same thing to Fringe at National Arts Festival. So if you do have a venue, what we'll need is we'll just need obviously the specifications of that, and we'll need to know what the COVID policies that you've got in place are, and what the capability of the venue is, excuse me. So that, you know, if it can handle a live audience, if it can't have a live audience, and what technical equipment is there, so that we know what the venue is capable of. That will let us know very clearly how we can best deploy it as a resource.
It feels like we are literally planning the festival during the people. This is beautiful. I never thought we would arrive where we are in 2021. This is beautiful. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you to everyone who is offering their support and saying we are open. We really need those. Also, sponsors that can bring us money, please do come through. And because there's a lot that we are going to subsidize. So please, you can contact our CEO, Monica Newton. Thank you very much for that. So Nikki, now that I have been subsidized to record this work at this particular performance space, I've got my work and I'm going to put it up on VFringe. Can I take this work to other festivals beyond that?
Yeah. The VFringe has no exclusivity deal, and there's no contractual obligation beyond us being as a vendor. So the idea behind the VFringe, again, is to make a marketplace available to artists that's affordable. And absolutely, if that's where you want to showcase your work and you want to use that as your viewing platform, then absolutely. If you then submit work to multiple platforms and you want to take it down from the National Arts Festival, you have an exclusivity contract with another place, then by all means it can come down. And once you register once you register in the artist zone as part of VFringe, you have that option to give us a notification to take your work down. So we've tried to make it as flexible as possible for artists to be able to reach as many channels as possible. The National Arts Festival makes absolutely no income from the platform. The percentage that we take sends us is what covers the transactional fees and the streaming fees. That's it.
Thank you so much, Nikki. So again, artists, the ball is in your court. Come and record work with us on Virtual Fringe, and then take your work and go sell it elsewhere. It's your livelihood, it's your work, it's your intellectual property. So go for it. The National Arts Festival is as flexible as you need it to be. Monica, we've got 10 minutes left, and I've got a question for you as to, as the final accounting officer of the National Arts Festival, I've always wanted to say that. At what point is the National Arts Festival going to make a decision as to are we really going to do live, or we are not going to do the live version? At what point? We are now in February. When do you think we can make that decision?
We will definitely have to make that decision in March, because as Nikki pointed out, last year, under very difficult circumstances, we actually mounted the virtual festival in 100 days. And I don't think we ever want to do that ever again, if we can possibly help it. So we will definitely have to make a decision by March, and we will definitely let the entire festival community, and of course, we have donors, sponsors, and other stakeholders as well, who will be very interested in kind of how we do things, obviously partners and co-producing partners as well. And so, yeah, it is a time of sleepless nights, really, because we just really don't know. But we're going to do the best that we can. And thank you so much, everybody, for your encouraging words. It means a lot, because it means that we are assured of your support as we begin to think about the festival in new and different ways. And in 2021, new and different is absolutely the theme. And that's how we're going to have to adjust. And we're going to have to be as flexible as possible, but also aware of the fact. And I think that some of the questions raised about some of the technical issues were about the speed at which we put things together. And with this year, we have a little bit more time. We've got a year behind us now. And of course, we're also doing SciFest online. We're doing the Regional Schools Festival online. So while the National Arts Festival happened in a particular time, as a company that produces festivals, we've been hard at work. So we've got better and better. We've learned a lot more, and we're a lot more proficient, all of us, in this new digital frame. And it's so amazing that the artistic community has been walking this road with us and has also learned a lot over the last couple of months about digital and audiences and the complexity of producing work for an online audience.
Thanks, Monica, for that. I'm going to come back to you with the follow-up question, which I think you can share with Nikki, but we'll start off with you. So now, so I can either decide to put my work up now on VFringe because it is a continued platform because it's already there, or wait to put it on during festival time only. And so what is the actual benefit of me waiting and only putting on my work around festival time, or should I just do it now? What's that benefit?
Well, it all depends on what you're really wanting to achieve with your work. So over the period of the festival, obviously there's a much bigger marketing machine that is pushing out information about the festival, that is talking about the festival, and is making sure that it's top of mind. So if you choose to wait, then you have the benefit of being part of that bigger machine. But if your intention is, for example, to talk to a more narrow international audience, or I've seen some of the questions about works in progress, it would be very interesting to have a talk show series on the VFringe. Sign me up. So it all depends on the nature of the work that you're wanting to do and what you're actually wanting to achieve by putting work on the platform. Maybe for the moment you want to present experimental work or work in progress, and then produce a final work for during the festival. So it's entirely up to audiences. But the Fringe, as Nikki pointed out, the VFringe does have an audience, and it does have the opportunity as well to try things. Maybe you've got archival work that you'd like to load and get a sense of what that response is from your social media community or festival directors that you've met. So I think in the same way as we are learning to play with structure and format, I think use the VFringe in exactly the same way, to learn, to experiment, and to see what works for you as an artist.
Thanks, Monica, for that. And we have 6 minutes to go. Please do ask those questions as quickly as you can, because we have 5 minutes to go. So, Nikki, when I put up my work on VFringe, is it safe, or are people going to be able to steal and download my work?
No, it's terribly safe. So it is behind a payment wall. It is not downloadable. It's not a complete and utter failsafe. There are, there are geeks out there who will take what they can get. And yes, there are ways around every single security system that you can dream to put in. What we hope is that none of those people are targeting our particular industry right now. So it is safe. It is as safe as it can feasibly be, without then starting to restrict access and making sign-in procedures as tricky as sort of 17-step verification codes, and a separate device is not what you want to be navigating, or want your audience to have to navigate through. What we have done is just make sure that the very base, the sort of the basics are covered. You have to be logged in, to watch. A user has to be logged in to watch what is on their account, what they've paid to see, and if they can't be logged onto more than one device at a time. Yes, it can be Chromecast, or you can use it on AirPlay or Chromecast, depending on what device or what operating system you're using, but that makes it as secure as anything else. So in terms of making sure that copyright protection is there, we did have a little bit of issues last year with music and music files, but we have resolved that. So taking on just music files with no video is also very possible for us to do very easily now. So yeah.
Thanks, Nikki, for that. It really does make me feel better to know that my work is going to be safe. And we've got one last question, and I am saying it's one last question. Okay, maybe it's not. I don't know. We've got 3 minutes to go. So we have a question for you, Monica. Do we have stats on the take up or purchase of tickets of online fringe shows in 2020? How did we do?
It's a really good question. And what we are learning globally is that online platforms are not necessarily replacing live in terms of ticket sales. To give you a sense, we made about a third of what we would normally make in ticket sales from the VNAF. A lot of that was also because we were learning about ticket structuring. If you recall, we had individually ticket shows, we had festival passes, and that's still an idea that we're playing with. So we sold a good kind of couple of thousand tickets, there's no question. We had about 80,000 people from all over the world through our site, who were viewing a combination of paid work and free work, because of course we had the visual art galleries and the virtual green as well. But at the moment, it's still a shifting sands. If you're interested in this work, Concerts SA has done some very interesting research work on how live streaming is helping the live events, at least music part of the industry, cope. There was also some very interesting work presented at the World Jazz Congress on exactly the same thing. But there is no question that we are making less money online than we would be making live, which is why it's so important for us to get back to live, to adopt online and virtual work as a profit center, but also to begin to imagine ourselves being able to do live. So the kind of exact ticket sales figures are not immediately front and center, but certainly it was a very popular platform. We got an enormous amount of media exposure, but there's no question that from a straight revenue basis, we did not necessarily meet the same kind of levels or thresholds of ticket sales as we did in the live, but equally we were able to do a lot. We retained our sponsors. We were able to support artists directly. We were able to create platforms for expression and creativity. So yeah, we're a non-profit organization. So we do this because we believe in the arts, not necessarily just because we have a bank account that needs filling. Although that would be nice.
It would be, it would be. I think it would be nice. Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much, everyone. We have now hit 3 p.m. on the dot. Really, time does run away with you when you are having fun. Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for asking the questions that you have. Continue to ask us those questions. We really want to create this two-way relationship between us and our audiences, our patrons, our artists. So thank you so much. And please don't forget that the Fringe platform is open for you, and the closing date is the 30th of April. If you want to sign up, there is an expression of interest on our website, and please do engage with us. And just to say thank you to all our sponsors who keep on who keep on supporting us. Sometimes they support something that they're not sure what it's going to be, but they trust us, and we don't take that lightly. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Thank you to our two lovely panelists. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Sasha, Nobile, Rusera, and these are all the people that have been working behind the scenes for this webinar. I think it is safe for me to say this has been a success, and we wish to engage with you on our next webinar. Thank you so much. And all the unanswered questions will be answered on our website on the frequently asked questions. So don't despair. We are going to answer those questions, we promise. Bye-bye.